Our sponsor for today's podcast is Lynn Junk Removal. They are a locally owned business in Northwest Ohio with competitive prices and friendly service. They currently serve Northwest Ohio and Northeast Indiana. Some services they do are demolition, moving, and junk removal. You can call or text at 419-230-8418 for an estimate or any questions. We'd like to thank Lynn Junk Removal for being a sponsor.
Hello and welcome back to the Flagrant Foul Fridays podcast. Hope you guys have a happy new year. As of recording this, it is New Year's Eve, and me and Nick are very excited to watch the Ohio State Miami game tonight.
Yeah, hopefully the Buckeyes get the win and move on to the next round.
Yep, but they don't have a good track record on New Year's Eve, so we'll see what happens. So today we're going to do a blind college football draft. So what we did is we both picked 10 players, like all-time college football players. They could be some of the greats, they could be bench players. There is anything goes. I think for the most part we picked mostly good players. Um, and then we are going to tell the other player our list in order of what we did, and then they're going to rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 where they would put them on skill level. Now, this is all positions, so it's a little bit debatable where some of them might go. But what makes it fun is, like I said, it's a blind draft. So once you put it in a number slot, you can't move it. So that could really come back to bite you in the late part of the game. So yeah, we're gonna start with my list, and then Nick is going to draft.
Hopefully, there's no duplicates,
There's most
but it'll
likely
be all
going to
right.
be, but that's okay because the order and everything is different, so it doesn't really matter. All right. For your first player, I am giving you Marvin Harrison Jr.
Ooh, this is hard. For the first one, the best wide receiver at Ohio State, debatably. Um,
If we're looking at stats, he's up there.
he could have won the Heisman. He was a Heisman finalist, but there's also Heisman players on here. Wide receiver wise, if you were to name another wide receiver, I'd say he'd probably be the best of the wide receivers. So I'm gonna go. I don't know if I would go three or four because I don't know what's
Yeah,
because
it
I
is
don't know
hard.
what your list entails. I'm gonna go four with Marvin
Okay,
Harrison.
that seems like a safe bet. All right, next, I wanted someone a little bit random immediately following Marvin Harrison because I didn't want you to know how many random players I have. So maybe you overrank this guy, maybe you underrank him. So I was gonna pick Denzel Ward, but I chose Eli Apple instead.
He was a good Ohio State defensive back, but I have a feeling he's going to be one of the lower players on this list. So I'll probably put him at eight.
That's fair. I think he also kind of had an underwhelming NFL career,
Mhm.
but in terms of college, he was pretty good. All right, next we have a man that needs no introduction, but I feel like kind of gets forgotten, at least in the NFL, partially due to injury. Chase Young.
Chase Young was probably he was a Heisman candidate. He was a Heisman finalist. Probably one of the better defensive players from Ohio State. Um, I'm going to put him right behind Marvin Harrison at five.
That's fair. I think those two are somewhat interchangeable when you look at what they do in their position.
Yeah, and it's hard to really pick because they're two separate positions.
Right. All right, next we have a legend of the college football game, Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, probably he's got to be top three or top five quarterback of the 2000s in college football. I'm going to put him at two because I have a feeling you might have a better player than him.
That seems like a safe bet. Um, yeah, he's one of those guys that when you consider the team he was on and how far he brought them into the playoffs and everything, There's no doubt that he was one of the best college quarterbacks ever. Honestly, that's probably the last time Auburn was really good, right?
I think they maybe had 1 year since then, but Cam Newton was pretty much the last time they were consistently relevant.
Yeah. All right, next we have Joe Burrow.
I'm gonna hope you didn't put anybody better than Joe Burrow because I'm about to put him at one.
I purposely put him after Cam because, we're halfway done with the draft, and he's obviously one of the best players ever, but I wanted to leave a little doubt in your mind, you know?
I'm just hoping you don't have someone on here that is better than Cam Newton, but not as good as Joe Burrow.
You think Joe's better than Cam?
Uh, he's for the one season he played at LSU. I would say so. He had the best Heisman season, in my opinion, of all time.
Okay. So yeah, one seems like a good spot. All right, next, we needed a running back, so I was debating between a couple guys, but I ended up going with Ezekiel Elliott.
Easily one of the best running backs of all time at Ohio State. He was he a Heisman candidate? I think he was.
I don't know.
It was so long ago. Uh,
Kind of known for his long runs and stuff.
Now I kind of wish I had Marvin Harrison down a little further. I might have to put Zeke at
Yeah,
three.
you're kind of in a tough spot because you have 3, 6, 7, and 10 and 9. So you have like mediocre, really good, and then bad. So kind of where you put him could really mess up your
I don't think he's worse than Chase Young, but I have a feeling you might have someone better on the list than
there's
Ezekiel Elliott.
there is four more players.
I'm going to take the safe bet and put him at six, even though I don't like it.
That's fair, I think. All right, next we got Cade Stover.
You know, he wasn't the best tight end. He was a good tight end. I
He's
think
one of
I'd,
those workhorse type guys.
yeah, I think I'd be okay putting him at nine. I'd like to have Eli Apple behind him, but Eli Apple was a good corner. So, and I don't want that seven spot to be taken because then you got, if you give me someone like the coldest Crawford
I would put Cade lower than Eli personally.
yeah,
I
I
think he
like this list
benefited
so
from the
far.
team he was on.
Not a horrible list.
All right, next we have Justin Jefferson. You're in a tough spot, aren't you?
I mean, in the NFL, he's easily top three wide receiver. In college, I don't want to
He
put
had
him
a lot of
above
good wide receivers with him,
Marv.
so
He had a lot of good wide receivers with him. He was with Joe Burrow. People are gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna put him at seven. I have a
I
feeling
know
you'd have a good player in here.
I understand the thinking there. I think, like you said, he did have other players with him.
Yeah, he
And
had
if there
Jamar
is a better
Chase.
player, then it's gonna feel really bad to put them at 7 or 10, you know?
hmm
All right. Next, I needed another defensive guy, so I went with Jalen Carter.
I don't feel like he's the best player that's left. I feel like you got a guy hiding in a bag. I don't want to put him above Marvin Harrison or Ezekiel Elliott,
That's fair.
but he was a
Where
good
where
defensive
would you put
player.
him if you could?
I would probably. So if this list, if I could change the list as of right now, I would have a top eight. I wouldn't include nine and ten because I don't know nine and ten yet. Be Joe Burrow, Cam Newton, Marvin Harrison, Chase, or I guess it'd be nine. Uh, Ezekiel Elliott, probably Justin Jefferson, Chase Young, and then Jalen Carter,
Okay,
and then probably Eli Apple and Cade Stover still.
that's fair.
I think I'm going to go Jalen Carter at 10 because I don't know who you have hiding at the
Yeah.
final pick.
It feels bad seeing Cade Stover over Jalen Carter. But that's okay. And lastly, you were on to me, bud. I gave you Derrick Henry.
There we go. So only a couple bad picks, but I'll take it. It's an overall good list.
All right, so your final list is Joe Burrow at 1, Cam Newton at 2, Derrick Henry at 3, Marvin Harrison at 4, Chase Young at 5, Ezekiel Elliott at 6, Justin Jefferson at 7, Eli Apple at 8, Cade Stover at 9, and Jalen Carter at 10. A lot of those are pretty interchangeable in the middle areas. The only thing I think you did really bad was the Jalen Carter.
Hmm.
But you got him late, so there's not much you can do with that. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think you're probably gonna do better than me. Looking back, I should have put like Joe Burrow towards the end.
I had a feeling you would have a Joe Burrow or somebody really good.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I've seen way too many of people doing these rankings and know they like to hide the best player towards the middle or end.
Yeah, it subconsciously influenced both of us.
All right. Well, you ready to hear your list?
Yes, I am.
For the first player, I'm going to go with Travis Hunter.
Oh, see, I almost picked him. This is a tough one because he's unlike any other player. I mean, he's offense and defense, and he gets in a ton of reps. He was a Heisman. I think he's easily top 3 depending on some players you give me, but I think he didn't play long in college, so I'm gonna put him at 4. Kind of a safe spot, I feel like.
Next player, it's not really going to be an easy one because he's an active player, but I went with Jeremiah Smith.
Oh, that's tough. He's one of those players that's kind of like Steph Curry in the sense that he doesn't need the ball to impact the team. Like him getting double teamed allows his other receivers to get open. It also, he's also a pretty good blocker. The- I'm gonna put him at 2. I think a lot of people might say that's a bit overrated, but I really believe he's one of the best to ever do it.
Your next player is going to be Jameis Winston.
Oh gosh. Uh, this one's tough. He was the first redshirt freshman to win Heisman, wasn't he?
I don't know.
He also led a team that arguably shouldn't have been as good as it was to the championship, right?
Yep.
I mean, for those facts alone, I feel like he's got to be top 5, but I'm gonna say 5. I feel like you have a lot. I feel like you have better players coming up. That kind of hurts me to put him that low because he did do a lot for his team, but I'm
Yeah, he
okay
was a
with that.
really good player in college.
You know, I almost picked Robert Griffin III,
I thought about taking him too.
which is kind of similar to Jameis in terms of how much he brought to a team.
Your next player is somebody that you mentioned earlier, but you said you decided to go against picking him. So your next player is Denzel Ward.
Oh boy. I remember Denzel being a beast at Ohio State. One of the first college cornerbacks that actually got my attention. He kind of fell off in the NFL, I think. You know, I feel like offense tends to be higher ranked on these sort of lists. I'm debating between 6 and 7. I'm not sure how many bad players you have on here.
6'7".
Yeah, I knew you did. I'm gonna put him at 7. That feels like a safe bet. I feel like I'm playing this very safe, but it's okay.
Your next player, he was on my list for, or your list, Derrick Henry.
Oh boy. He holds college records still, doesn't he?
Uh, Probably.
I'm debating between 1 and 3. It's really hard to get Heisman as a running back. I'm gonna put him at 1 and hope you don't have Joe Burrow or like Tim Tebow. I almost picked Tim Tebow and I forgot. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna put him at 3. I think you got a sneaky Tim Tebow in there.
You caught me. The next person is Connor Cook.
Bruh.
Do
Um. Oh boy, this is kind
you
of
remember Connor Cook?
vaguely. I vaguely remember him, and for that, I'm putting him low.
He was a good quarterback for Michigan State. We had some good seasons with him, but he's definitely not the best player on this list.
Yeah, the question is, did you pick someone way worse? Probably not. I'm gonna put him at 10.
All right, your next player is Devonta Smith, Heisman wide receiver for Bama,
I'm gonna put him at 6. That's really my only option.
behind Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would put him a little higher than Travis Hunter, but Travis Hunter's also a dual threat, so I don't feel terrible about this. Yeah, I'm okay with this.
Next up, I got a second running back. You may know him, Saquon Barkley.
Ooh, I almost picked him as well. He's he's one of the best, so I'm gonna put him at 8. I think I would have put him higher than Denzel, maybe higher than Travis Hunter, maybe higher than Jameis, but definitely higher than Denzel if I could have. So yeah, 8's okay, I guess.
All right, we got a quarterback that won the Heisman,
Come on, say it.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh gosh. Oh.
Easily one of the best quarterbacks in the 2000s.
Although he didn't win a championship, he did lead a Oklahoma team to a very victorious season,
He had
which
two
is
overtime
pretty hard to
loss to
do.
Georgia.
Honestly, I don't feel terrible about putting him at 9. As
At
good as,
9,
well, with everyone else on my list, I would put him over Denzel Ward for sure. But that's actually about it.
I think he'd be in first out of all these players on the list.
Really? I don't remember much about him in college, so maybe I'm underestimating him. I just feel like he's maybe a bit overrated for what he accomplished. I mean, he didn't win the championship. He didn't even make it that far in the playoffs, right? So, I don't know. That's
I was
probably a
hoping I could get you.
it's probably a bad take, but yeah, give me that Tim Tebow.
Joe Burrow.
All right, that works too. Joe Burrow at 1. Okay, like I said, the only thing I'm not happy with is Denzel Ward. I would bump him down to 9, and then I would debate over Jameis, Devontae, Saquon, and Baker. But honestly, I'm pretty happy with this. I think I have less of a mistake than you. If we look at you putting Jalen Carter at 10 versus maybe my worst pick was Denzel at 7. I don't know. What do you think?
I think your list was okay until I gave you, or really midway through the list, I think you ranked some people a little higher because you didn't know. I think my list might win.
Well, we never decided if how we would even debate who would win this. But you know what? Let us know in the comments who you think had the better list. But obviously, take into account this was a blind draft. Either way, I'm very happy. I think I was worried mine was going to turn out like way worse. Like I would have Joe Burrow at 7 or something crazy. So yeah, I'm happy.
I was hoping I could get you.
I knew you had to pick someone that is like considered one of the greatest. So I thought it was going to be Tim. All right. Now we're going to move on to our news section.
Yes, sir.
First up, we got college football.
So we got some news over the week. Number 12 BYU beat number 24 Georgia Tech 25 to 21 in the Pop Tarts Bowl. I actually enjoyed watching the Pop Tarts make fun of Notre Dame in this. Even though I didn't watch the game, I watched the clips online afterwards. Up next, LSU had a streak since 2008 where they had not lost a game while leading by 14 plus points. But number 21 Houston snapped the streak in LSU's bowl game. Minnesota wins their ninth straight bowl game after a game winning touchdown in overtime in the Rate Bowl. This clip kind of went viral. Army quarterback God's Power Nawawi, or however you say his name, ran for 171 yards, including a 70-yard rushing touchdown where he broke multiple tackles, including a 3 to 4 person tackle against UConn.
I've never heard of him, but man, that is an awesome name.
Yeah, he didn't even play quarterback. He was running back the whole game. I saw the highlights. They didn't put him in for a pass play. He just ran the ball, which is interesting. That they haven't labeled as quarterback, but he's running.
Average Lamar Jackson game. Actually, more like Justin Fields, let's be honest.
Up next, we have a transfer update, or not a transfer update, but a signing update. Four-star Michigan wide receiver signee Brady Marchese is requesting a release from his signing. Florida tight end Amir Jackson, who initially planned to enter the transfer portal, re-signed with the Gators, and Florida State defensive back Jabril Rawls, who also initially planned to enter the portal, will return to the Seminoles next season. On the topic of the transfer portal, JMU only has two players returning from their college football playoff offense next season. Another team who is affected from the portal, Iowa State. They only have 16 players on their roster for next year. They also lost their head coach Matt Campbell to Penn State, and they only have one starter from this season returning next season. They've lost 60 plus total players to graduation and the portal, with there being a total of 40 plus players going to the transfer portal from their team.
And that was the team that the players didn't know the coach was leaving, right?
I believe so.
So that's, maybe not as surprising as, the numbers show. They kind of did him dirty. Speaking of the transfer portal, there are already over 3,300 players intending to enter the portal, and the D1 portal window has not even opened yet. The portal window opens January 2nd. Lastly, Tennessee during this season did not beat a single team over .500 wins, despite having 8 wins this season. Kind of goes to show how much they fell off after last year.
Yeah, I know a lot of Tennessee fans are upset that they had an off year. They all thought they were going to go back to the playoffs this year.
They lost to Illinois in the what bowl was that?
Oh shoot, what was it? I watched the game, but I don't remember what bowl game it was. I think it was the Verbo Bowl.
Oh yeah, tough luck for them. All right, now we're going to talk about the conference bowl records so far. So the Big Ten is 7-1, the only loss being USC. Big 12 is 3-0. The AAC is 4-3. Conference USA is 4-3. The SEC is 2-5. Now, some of that is probably because like Georgia hasn't played yet, right? But still, that's far from the powerhouse SEC that we hear about.
It also came from, I believe, when Alabama beat. Did they play Texas A&M?
Yeah, I think.
When Alabama beat Texas A&M.
Or was it Oklahoma?
Yeah, it was Oklahoma. When Alabama beat Oklahoma, they technically got a win and a loss because they're both SEC teams.
I see. Still, that's not a good look. And then the ACC, we have 2-11. Independent, aka I don't
UConn.
know. Okay, UConn. I was gonna say Notre Dame, but they didn't play. 0-1. And MAC is 2-3. Mountain West 2-5. Pac-12 1-0, and Sun Belt 3-6.
We got some coaching news. Clemson parts ways with their offensive coordinator, Garrett Riley, and veteran assistant, Mickey Kahn. Louisville defensive coordinator is not expected to return for the 2026 season, and their defensive line coach was informed that he will not be returning.
And Michigan signed longtime Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham for their head coach opening. Kyle Whittingham informed Utah he would not be coaching the team in their bowl game against Nebraska and is coaching Michigan in their bowl game. Morgan Scalley, who is set to take over next season, will coach Utah in their bowl game. Something interesting about this is that he's immediately coaching for Michigan in their bowl game. You know, considering that their season is technically over in terms of playoffs, I don't see this as necessarily a bad thing. You kind of get a head start for next season. But as far as I can remember, this is kind of a rare thing, isn't it?
I haven't heard anything about any of the other new coaches coaching for their new team.
I saw that he only follows like 4 people on social media, and they're like his family. So people have a feeling that he shouldn't, get into any scandals. But who knows? Maybe he's got a burner,
Northwestern hired Chip Kelly as their new offensive coordinator.
which some people thought he was gonna go back to Ohio State. I don't know if there
Kind
was
of happy.
even I don't even know if there was conversations with Ryan Day or anything. I think as far as I know, they're still pretty good buds. Um, but I think he kind of just wants the challenge, maybe. I think Northwestern is one of those teams that have been kind of like secretly good for a while, but they just haven't been able to get over that hump. So maybe Chip can help them.
Ohio University is promoting their defensive coordinator, John Hauser, to be the program's new head coach. He was the interim coach in their bowl game win over UNLV.
Do you know if there's been any update on the firing?
I haven't heard anything about him since we last talked about him.
And Pitt promoted assistant head coach and safeties coach Corey Sanders to the defensive coordinator position after Randy Bates retired. UConn hired Syracuse quarterback coach Nunzio Campanelli as their new offensive coordinator. UConn also hired Pitt's linebacker coach Ryan Manilak as their new defensive coordinator. And then lastly, we have Marcus Freeman announcing that he will stay at Notre Dame for the 2026 season. There was NFL teams, reportedly the Giants, interested in him, and some people thought he might leave. But I feel that he probably thinks he has unfinished business, and he got did dirty this year by the committee. So we'll see if he comes back better than ever next year.
Yeah, I saw people joking about that if he goes to the Giants, that the NFL won't allow him that secured playoff spot next year, and that's why he
Yeah.
didn't go.
I'm not a big Notre Dame fan, obviously, but I don't actually mind him as a coach. He seems like a pretty smart guy. He kind of reminds me of um, Joe Mazzulla, the Celtics head coach, because he's just got that like nice guy but really smart personality. And he is an Ohio State alumni.
Up next, we got players that are declaring for the draft. I try my best to find these players. It's really hard because there's no dedicated person who announces it. But the players who announced they're declaring for the draft are Tennessee cornerback Colton Hood and South Carolina running back Rasal Fajan.
And now we have people that are planning to enter the transfer portal. Alabama, we have safety Cameron Howard and offensive lineman Rock Montgomery.
Arkansas, defensive back Miguel Mitchell, defensive lineman Justice Boone, defensive lineman Charlie Collins, and wide receiver Andy Jean.
For Auburn, we have offensive lineman Xavier Chaplin, defensive back Kinsley Lador Foston, star wide receiver Cam Coleman, true freshman wide receiver Sam Turner, and true freshman quarterback Deuce Knight.
Up next for Boston College, running back Turbo Richard, offensive lineman Eric Doherty, and defensive back Omar Thornton.
I kind of like the name Turbo Richard. And for Bowling Green, we have cornerback Mark Cannon. Do you think he's one of Nick Cannon's like 20 kids?
Is Nick Cannon old enough to have a kid in college?
I don't know, but with how many kids he has, it kind of wouldn't surprise me if he started a while ago.
Up next, we have Cal, their edge TJ Bush Jr., and quarterback Devin Brown.
Is that the Devin Brown that I think it is?
Yeah, he played for Ohio State and he transferred out.
And he's transferring again. I think he needs to go to a very like low level school. He'll definitely be a starter. All right. And for Central Michigan, we have cornerback Kalen Carroll.
For Cincinnati, we have running back Evan Pryor.
Colorado, we have running back Dallin Hayden, defensive lineman Samuel Oko- Okunlola, linebacker Reginald Hughes, and quarterback Ryan Staub.
Another Ohio State player transferring, Dallin Hayden.
Yeah, I vaguely remember him.
I think he did a good job as a third string back. I didn't watch him at Colorado, but anyways, Colorado State linebacker Owen Long.
And ECU, we have offensive lineman Jamarian McCrimmon and offensive lineman Emmanuel Poku.
For Florida, we have a few transfers: wide receiver Eugene Wilson, defensive back Sheriff Dennison, standout true freshman edge Jaden Woods, safety Aaron Gates, and running back Tayon Webb.
And at Florida State, we have edge James Williams, true freshman wide receiver Javon Boggs, safety Ashland Barker, offensive lineman Lucas Simmons, offensive lineman Manassi Etit, and running back Gavin Salchuk.
Georgia Southern standout quarterback J.C. French IV.
What? What a name.
Sounds almost like an English name.
Yeah, or like a French name. And at Houston, we have quarterback Zion Chris.
Iowa State offensive lineman Brendan Black and quarterback Alex Mansky.
And at JMU, we have quarterback Alonzo Barnett III, star running back Wayne Knight, standout freshman edge Sahir West, standout edge Aiden Gobera, defensive lineman Michael McCullen, and all conference cornerback Justin Eaglin.
Kansas State, we got safety Daniel Cobbs.
In Kentucky, we got wide receiver Troy Stellato.
Louisiana Tech, running back Clay Thevenin.
And at Louisville, we have tight end Nate Kurisky.
LSU, we got standout safety AJ Halsey, offensive lineman DJ Chester, offensive lineman Tyree Adams, offensive lineman Paul Mubenga, offensive lineman Ori Williams, and safety Deshaun Spears.
And at Maryland, we have defensive back Lackey Roland.
Michigan, we got quarterback Davis Warren.
And at Michigan State, we got wide receiver Krishan McCray and edge Jalen Thompson.
NC State, we got wide receiver Terrell Anderson and wide receiver Noah Rogers.
And at North Texas, we have quarterback Drew Mestamaker, star true freshman running back Caleb Hawkins, running back Ashton Gray, running back Mackenzie McGrill, running back Jaden Beck, standout wide receiver Wyatt Young, edge Kevion Huddleston, and safety Patrick Smith Young. Are they gonna have a running back for next year?
I have no idea. When I found all these names, I was like, holy crap, they're probably never going to have a running back core.
Yeah, doesn't.
Maybe some maybe some D2 or lower D1 teams looking for players looking for a better college.
I guess.
Notre Dame quarterback Carson Hobbs.
Ohio standout wide receiver Chase Hendricks.
Oklahoma, we have true freshman safety Marcus Wimberly, offensive lineman Troy Everett, offensive lineman Luke Becklecko, offensive lineman Logan Howland, and quarterback Michael Hawkins, and finally defensive back Gentry Williams.
At Old Dominion, we have quarterback Zion Frink.
Oregon, we got quarterback Austin Novosad and offensive lineman Leap Moala.
Oregon State, we got wide receiver Trent Walker.
Penn State, we got edge Zariah Fisher, defensive lineman Xavier Gilman, wide receiver Anthony Ivy, wide receiver Caden Saunders, and linebacker Keon Wiley.
Pittsburgh, we got standout linebacker Rasheem Biles, as well as offensive lineman Lyndon Cooper.
Rice, we got quarterback Chase Jenkins.
And at Rutgers, we have cornerback Jacoby Henderson.
Sacramento State, defensive lineman Dylan Hampston.
San Diego State, edge Ryan Henderson.
South Carolina, offensive lineman Rodney Newsom Jr.
Stanford, running back Cole Tabb.
Syracuse wide receiver Daryl Gill Jr.
Texas, running back Quintavion Wisner.
Texas A&M, edge Solomon Williams. Tight end Theo Mellon. Safety Bryce Anderson. And quarterback Miles O'Neill.
Toledo, defensive lineman Carlos Hazelwood.
Tulane tight end Anthony Miller. And wide receiver Shaz Preston.
UAB, standout wide receiver Iverson Hooks.
UCLA cornerback Kanye Clark. Defensive lineman Keanu Williams. And quarterback Henry Hasselbeck.
Henry Hasselback, what a name.
I'm pretty sure that's I'm pretty sure that's Matt Hasselbeck's son. That was the quarterback for the Seahawks.
Well, that would make sense. And at UConn, we got quarterback Nick Evers.
Utah edge John Henry Daly.
At UNLV, we have edge Tumaz Adelaide and quarterback Anthony Colandria.
USF wide receiver Kayshawn Singleton.
And at Virginia Tech, we got quarterback Pop Watson.
Wisconsin quarterback Billy Edwards Jr. and safety Preston Zachman.
And lastly, we got West Virginia wide receiver Rodley Gallagher. And as always, we pronounced every one of those names perfectly.
Well, that's all, folks. Moving on to the moving on to our NFL segment, we got some more news for you. So after the Raiders lost to the Giants, the Raiders now have an 80% chance to secure the number one pick in the draft, and the Giants' chances dropped to 20%. The Raiders also benched Max Crosby for the remainder of the season after announcing an injury, and Max Crosby leaves the facility upset. Some saying the Raiders are faking his injury to tank for the first pick.
You have to wonder why the Giants even tried that game.
Yeah, I mean, they had the same odds, and then they won. The NFC West had a chance of making history this season. It could have been the first time a division had three teams with a 13-plus win season. With the Rams lost Monday night to the Falcons, this record is no longer possible.
Thanks, Rams.
Could have been the best division of all time, but the Rams had to ruin it.
And Philip Rivers said he will not return to the NFL next season. And the Colts are expected to start rookie quarterback Riley Leonard against the Texans.
Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh told reporters that Justin Herbert will not start against the Broncos this weekend.
And Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs is facing a felony charge of strangulation and a misdemeanor charge of assault, which Diggs denies all allegations. According to the police report, a woman went to the police on December 16th and shared that she was working as a private chef on the date of the incident in question when Diggs entered her unlocked bedroom and allegedly smacked her across the face after they had discussed money owed to her. According to police, she said she attempted to push Diggs away when he allegedly tried to choke her with his elbow around her neck and later threw her on the bed and said lies when she said she had not been paid. You know, it's been a while since we haven't had an episode with a crime.
It just so happens we have two crimes this episode.
And this is not the only time the name Diggs is getting brought up, except it's his brother later.
Not for crime reasons, though.
Yeah, not for crime, as far as we know.
Diggs' court date is the Friday before the AFC Championship game. I have no idea if he's playing or not during that time. Patriots defensive tackle Christian Barmore is facing charge of assault and battery on a household/family member. According to charging documents obtained by ABC, a woman who had been in a relationship with Barmore said that he became angry with her about the air conditioning temperature in his bedroom and that they also had argued over food. The woman told police that Barmore grabbed her phone and her hands while she was trying to leave the house. She also allegedly tried to open the door to scream for help, but he grabbed her by her neck and threw her to the ground. His court arrangements are scheduled for this February 3rd.
Is he a starter? I've never heard of him.
I believe so.
Hmm.
When I looked, I mean, when I looked him up earlier, he looked like he was a starter based off his stats.
That could be a big loss for them then. And Cowboys release cornerback Trevon Diggs. However, it was announced not too long ago that he's being signed by the Packers. No word yet if he's going to start. All right, now on to kind of a little fun coincidence. We talked about it with the Panthers yesterday or last week. And this week it's about the Seahawks. In 2005, there was a new pope. The Seahawks won 13 games and they went to the Super Bowl. In 2013, there was a new pope. The Seahawks won 13 games and they won the Super Bowl. And in this year, 2025, there is a new pope. The Seahawks currently have 13 wins, and I guess that means they might go to the Super Bowl, right?
I think they're actually favorites right now.
Yeah, they are. The only thing that worries me is if they're going to win next week. If they win against the 49ers, they would have won 14 games, and then we're in unknown territory in terms of the Pope win relationship. uh, so in a weird twist, as a Seahawks fan, I kind of hope they lose next week, which pains me because I hate the 49ers.
Yeah, it would. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe if they pull off 14 games because they only had 16 games in the past, technically they only had three losses those 2 seasons. So what if it's the three losses that got them there and not the 13 wins?
That's true. We didn't even think about that. Perhaps we're looking at this the wrong way.
Well, we know if the Seahawks don't go to the Super Bowl and they lose, then we know it was the three losses.
Yep, that's the only reason. So as of now, my prediction for the Super Bowl is the Seahawks versus the Panthers, which is crazy.
For the Super Bowl,
Yes.
the Panthers are at the NFC, and so are the
Oh,
Seahawks.
shoot. We have a problem then because the Jennifer Lopez divorce and Ohio State correlation with the Panthers is fighting against the Seahawks, assuming that they, do that 13 games and or three losses thing. They can't both make it.
Maybe they'll meet in the NFC Championship, and then it'll be a battle between the two.
That could happen.
That would be the best way to go out.
I think this is kind of unprecedented that we have two pretty solid coincidences, something that happens more than once, going up against each other, and one of them has to break.
I think
Hey,
it'll
you know
be.
what though? I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL suddenly changes their conference tomorrow. Then we know it's rigged.
Moving on to the all rookie first team. This was released a few days ago as of the time this video is released. So starting off with the offense, we got quarterback Cam Ward, running back Trevion Henderson, wide receiver Tessa Royal McMillan, wide receiver Emeka Ibuka, wide receiver Luther Burden III, tight end Harold Fanon Jr., left tackle Kelvin Banks Jr., left guard Gray Zabel, center Jonah Mahim, right guard Tyler Booker, and right tackle Armin Membu. For defense, we got edge Abdul Carter, edge Jalen Walker, defensive tackle Dion Walker, defensive tackle Elijah Roberts, linebacker Carson Swessinger, linebacker Jihad Campbell, cornerback Will Johnson, cornerback Quincy Riley, defensive back Jacob Parrish, safety Jonas Sanker, and safety Nick Eamon.
And for the all rookie second team, for the offense, we have quarterback Tyler Show, running back Quinshon Judkins. It's kind of cool that we have two Ohio State running backs on the all rookie teams. Wide receiver Jameer Dyke, wide receiver Pat Bryant, wide receiver Jaden Higgins, tight end Colston Loveland, left tackle Josh Simmons, left guard Dylan Fairchild, center Drew Kendall, right guard Tate Radledge, right tackle Josh Cornley Jr. And then for the defense, we have edge Donovan Ezeruka, Ezeruku, edge James Pierce Jr., defensive tackle Mason Graham and Walter Nolan III, linebacker Teddy Buchanan and Cody Simon, cornerback Denzel Burke and Maxwell Hairston, defensive back Upton Stout, safety Xavier Watts, and safety Malachi Starks.
Congratulations to those rookie players. Earlier this week, finalists were announced for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026, and we want to recognize those players because
We got some big names on here.
we got a lot of big names from the 2000s. I know most of these guys on this list, so we'll start off with offensive tackle Willie Anderson,
Quarterback Drew Brees, well deserving.
yes. Offensive guard Jari Evans,
Wide receiver, a legend, unfortunately kind of stuck on a bad team. Larry Fitzgerald,
yeah, Larry Legendary Fitzgerald,
the best hands in the game.
another legendary player, running back Frank Gore. Obviously, they're all legends, or they wouldn't be in the
That's
Hall of Fame class.
fair. I don't even know why we're saying this. But they're like the legends of the legends. Uh, Wide receiver, Torrey Holt,
Linebacker Luke Kuechly,
which I want to talk about for a second. I think Luke Kuechly is one of those guys that a lot of people don't know about these days, especially the younger generation, because he kind of had a short-lived career. But he was probably one of the smartest players to ever play the game, at least in a defensive standpoint. Because the way he could like read defenses, let alone how good of a tackler and, player he was, athlete really, was just, you know, simply in a league of his own.
very elite.
Wouldn't you say? He like when you think of him, do you immediately think of how he can read the plays? That's what I think of.
Yeah, I mean, there's clips online for when the Panthers weren't as good anymore, and he's literally directing the whole defense to know where to stand.
Yeah, he really knew the game well. Quarterback Eli Manning, no surprise seeing him there.
Linebacker Terrell Suggs,
Kicker Adam Vinatieri, who I believe he was one of the oldest kickers for a long time.
wide receiver Lil Wayne or Reggie Wade.
Okay. And defensive tackle Snoop Dogg. I mean, Kevin Williams. Kevin Williams.
That should be a special segment sometime. Picking random people for positions.
I'm gonna add that right now. That sounds like a good idea.
Tight end Jason Witten. Safety Daryl Woodson and offensive guard Marshall Yonda. Elite group.
Yeah, those are some very like big names. Sometimes you get a um list of Hall of Fame candidates that, there's a couple good guys in there and then some kind of whatever. But this is some of the best I think in a while. When you have people like Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Frank Gore, Luke Kuechly, Eli Manning, I mean, Jason Witten. This is an elite list of the elites.
Well, I think there's a certain criteria. You have to be so many years retired or something.
Yeah, I think that's true. Um, but either way, you can have so many years and have kind of a bad selection. Although I think you see that more with the NBA, and I don't know why that is.
I feel like the NFL, since it's so
a lot of
because
players.
it's been around for so long, and there's so many more players in the NBA.
Yeah,
There's so many
NFL.
players that you don't know from the past. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna move on to some injury updates. Uh, the Seahawks, Rashid Shaheed has suffered a concussion versus the Panthers. No update as of when he might return. Raiders, Max Crosby is expected to need knee surgery. He is out for the season. And the Packers, Micah Parsons underwent surgery on his torn ACL Monday. I don't think he's also out for the season. I would be shocked if not. Uh, and the Bears' Luther Burden was carted off the field Sunday versus the 49ers, and he suffered a quad injury. He's getting additional testing done.
Which I did just see that he is back at practice, so he should be playing this week. Moving on to the records and milestones. So Bijan Robinson is currently 255 yards away for the most scrimmage yards in a season, held by uh, Chris Johnson, well renowned known in his 2009 season where he had 2,509 total yards. Bijan's currently at 2,255. So I guess we'll see if he gets that done. They play the Saints this week. Next up, Derrick Henry became the only player in NFL history to put together back to back seasons with 1,500 plus rushing yards and 15 plus rushing touchdowns at age 30 or older. Caleb Williams is 109 passing yards away from setting the Bears single season record and is 270 yards away from being the first QB in Bears franchise history to throw for 4,000 yards in a season. We got a lot of Trey McBride stats here. So Trey McBride breaks his single season reception record by a Cardinals tight end set last year. He also breaks the most receptions in a single season by any Cardinal set by DeAndre Hopkins in 2020. He broke the single season reception record for NFL tight ends, previously held by Zach Ertz in 2018. And McBride is currently 32 yards away from breaking the Cardinals single season receiving yards record for tight ends, currently held by Jackie Smith in 1967. The Seahawks set a franchise record for the most points scored in a single season with 470 points scored.
And I think some of that has to do with our kicker almost having the points record, right?
Yeah, we've had a pretty good offense this year. Uh, at the beginning of the season, of course. Now they're kind of struggling in the first half of games. Um,
Yeah.
Speaking of our kicker, Jason Myers is 5 points away from breaking Sean Alexander's franchise record for points scored in a single season.
I think he probably will get it.
Yeah,
Let's
he just needs two field goals on Saturday against
do
the
field goals
49ers.
or a field goal and then 2 extra points.
On the topic of Seahawks, Zach Charbonnet is the first Seahawk since Marshawn Lynch in 2014 to have double-digit touchdowns in a season.
Does that not count corner or quarterbacks?
No, it's I think it's just wide receivers and running backs, tight ends, that kind of stuff.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Well, it might be just running backs. Because I think JSN has 11 touchdowns this season already. So, just running backs.
Yeah, that makes more sense. We've had decent running backs since Marshawn. They just kind of get injured a lot.
Sam Darnold, he becomes one of five quarterbacks with back-to-back 13-win seasons, joining Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and Brett Favre, which they all did this with the same team. Sam Darnold is the first quarterback to win 13 games in back-to-back seasons with two different teams.
Yeah, definitely one of the most underrated quarterbacks in recent times. It's funny. Even with these stats, I'm still not fully on board with him. Maybe I'm just biased towards Russ, but I don't know.
He definitely has his off moments. He's definitely got some stuff to work on before the playoffs come around.
Titans rookie Jameer Dyke now has the NFL rookie record for most all-purpose yards in a season, passing Tim Brown, 2,317, with the LA Raiders in 1988.
Jaguars head coach Liam Cohn is now the only first year head coach in NFL history to win 12 plus games after taking over a team that had four or fewer wins in the previous season.
You know, a lot of people were kind of skeptical about him going in. He's kind of a weird guy.
Duval.
But the results speak for themselves.
One thing I do want to note, though, is Mike Vrabel actually did the same thing. The Patriots only had four wins this year, and now they have 12 plus wins. But Mike Vrabel isn't a first year head coach, so that's why Liam Cohn is the
Yeah,
first year head coach.
cool. Derrick Henry broke the NFL record for the most rushing yards by a player in their first two seasons with a new team, previously held by Ricky Williams with 3,225 yards for the 2002-2003 Dolphins. It's crazy how good he is, even though he's getting up there in age.
Yeah, he's definitely still playing at an elite level for his age. I feel like most running backs kind of fall off about later 20s, early 30s. But he's proven that I don't think he's going to fall off for another 2 or 3 years, if that.
Yeah, I mean he's 31, but he's chugging on.
Derrick Henry also broke the NFL record for the most rushing touchdowns by a player in their first two seasons with a new team, with his four touchdowns against the Packers. The record was previously held by Terry Allen with 31 touchdowns for the 95-96 Redskins.
Speaking of running backs, Saquon Barkley passes Jerome Bettis for the fourth most rushing yards by a player in their first two seasons with a new team.
Bijan Robinson broke the record for the most scrimmage yards by a player before turning 24, previously held by Christian McCaffrey at 5,443 scrimmage yards.
What is a scrimmage yard?
So like receiving and running.
Oh, gotcha. Why don't they just call it total yards?
I don't know.
Bijan also broke the franchise record for the longest rushing touchdown in Falcons franchise history with a 93-yard touchdown against the Rams.
Drake May is the first player in NFL history to have five passing touchdowns, 90% completion, and 250 yards in a game. And he is currently the MVP favorite.
Yeah, no surprise there. I mean, we talked about it last week. They've kind of had an easy schedule, and he did do that against the Jets.
Yeah.
But
Either way, this easy schedule is helping him develop as a quarterback in the NFL.
yeah, I mean, at the very least, he's building confidence, and I'm not going to deny he's clearly a good quarterback. But I do think his stats are a little bit inflated. We'll see if next year he can keep up the momentum. Although I don't even know, maybe next year they have another easy schedule. I don't know.
Cortland Sutton is the first Bronco wide receiver to accomplish back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons since Demarius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. R.I.P. Demarius Thomas.
Bo Nix is the only quarterback in NFL history with 20 plus wins, 7,500 plus passing yards, and 50 plus touchdowns in his first two seasons. You know, that's a bit surprising because you don't really hear much about him, even though obviously his team's doing really well.
Yeah, hopefully he can be one of those players that's talked about all the time, like Drake May, maybe potentially win an MVP or two.
It's really crazy how much the Broncos kind of turned around their season after like last year and the years before. I know they've always kind of had the pieces, but they just really needed a good quarterback, it seems.
It's good to see they found their franchise quarterback.
Speaking of franchise quarterbacks, unless he leaves, Josh Allen became the youngest player in NFL history to have 300 touchdowns at 29 years old. He also did this in the fewest games in NFL history at 127. It helps that he rushes also, but that's still impressive.
Jamar Chase is the first wide receiver in NFL history to have 80 plus catches, 1,000 plus yards, and 7 plus touchdowns in each of his first 5 seasons.
And correct me if I'm wrong, he was out for almost like half of a season, right?
He was out for a little while. I don't know if it was exactly half a season.
I thought it was a good amount of time, or at least multiple times he was injured. So that's impressive. Texans rookie Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel become the first rookie duo since 1938 to each record 40-plus yard touchdowns in the same game. That's an ESPN stat if I've ever heard one.
That's wild that it's been almost 90 years.
Yeah, well, and some change, but yes.
87 years,
What?
right?
No.
What? We're in 2025.
Well, tomorrow. No, I'm
Oh,
kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I guess you're
87 years as of recording, 88 years when this comes out.
right. And Titans kicker Joey Sly now has the most 50-plus yard field goals in franchise history at 9.
Speaking of 50 plus yard field goals, Vikings kicker Will Reichard set the franchise record for the most 50 plus yard field goals at 11.
And Cam Ward is the first rookie in Titans franchise history to record a 3,000-yard season. Do you think if they get the right pieces, they could actually be a pretty good team?
Yeah, I think they'd be a good team if they were able to find those key pieces that they're missing.
I mean, clearly they have a pretty decent quarterback and a pretty decent kicker.
It's a pretty decent wide receiver.
So maybe they just need a better defense and coach.
Matthew Stafford now holds the Rams franchise record for the most passing touchdowns in a season with 42 touchdowns, which is also his career high.
It's kind of crazy to see how much he's revitalized his career. He easily could have been one of those players that would have retired by now.
It'd be cool to see him win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, I just don't want the Rams to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Christian McCaffrey set the 49ers franchise record for most receptions by a running back in a season with 96 receptions.
Dallas Goddard set Eagles franchise record for the most receiving touchdowns in a season by a tight end with 11 touchdowns.
And lastly, we have a couple updates with teams that have been eliminated and or clinched the playoffs. After the Packers lost to the Ravens, the Bears clinched the NFC North after finishing in last place the last 3 seasons, just in time for them to move to Northwest Indiana.
Big turnaround for the Bears this season.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Caleb Williams has finally kind of found his rhythm, and the defense has been playing pretty decent.
After the Bills lost to the Eagles, the Patriots clinched the AFC East for the first time since 2019. The Patriots are now tied second most in NFL history for division titles with 22. The Steelers are currently ahead of them with 24.
The Texans clinched the playoffs after beating the Chargers.
Broncos clinched the AFC West for the first time in 10 years after the Chargers lost. Last time the Broncos clinched the AFC West, they won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning.
The Colts are officially eliminated from the playoffs after Houston defeated the Chargers, and they're the first team since the 1995 Raiders to start 8-2 and miss the playoffs. They had a 98% chance at one point to make the playoffs. Obviously, you can't predict ACL tears, and I have to say, Indiana's really feeling it when you have Halliburton and Daniel Jones tearing their ACLs the same years.
The Lions are officially eliminated from the playoffs after their loss to the Vikings.
I didn't expect them to miss the playoffs, especially after last year.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened this year.
I've heard the refs have been really bad for them all year, but that's what everyone says about their teams, so who knows? The Ravens will play at Pittsburgh for the AFC North title, and the Panthers will play at Tampa for the NFC South title.
And the Seahawks will play at San Francisco for the NFC West title and the number one seed in the NFC.
If the Broncos win against the Chargers, they will secure the number one seed in the AFC. And one thing I would like to add, which I don't know how we forgot to mention, Miles Garrett is still on pace to break the sack record in a season.
That's if he gets a sack against the
Yes, he needs point 0.5 to tie and 1 sack to break the record. We thought he was going to break it last week, but he didn't get a single sack. That has me a little worried about this week. But if he's motivated enough, I think he'll be fine. I think he's averaging 1.5 a game this season, so. All right, now we're going to move on to the NBA. We would like to say happy birthday to a very special someone. Yesterday, on the 30th of December, it was LeBron's 41st birthday.
Taco Tuesday. His birthday was on Taco Tuesday.
Well, I'm sure he had tacos, maybe with a side of cake.
There was actually a stat they posted during the game yesterday. So there are 82 active players born after LeBron's debut, and he has faced 35.5% of all players in NBA history. It's crazy that
Yeah,
he's
I saw
faced a
that.
third of players.
That makes me think that towards the 80s onward is probably when more players started entering the league. And I think that might have to do with the G League, but that's kind of crazy to me that that many players has happened in what, 20 years when the NBA has been around for 76, 77, right?
Uh, Close to 80. I don't know how many exactly.
I don't know if that counts the merge. Is the 75-year anniversary a couple years back? Is that like referring to the merge?
That's referring to just the NBA, I believe.
Okay. Either way, though, it doesn't seem right that 35% of the players have been in 20 years. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Although now that I do the math, that's about 1/4 of the NBA's total time. So 1/3, I guess, isn't that crazy. Anyways, I know we talked about it last week, but the Spurs beat the Thunder for the third time this season. It was on Christmas Day, and I'd like to add that the Aaron Fox, I believe, was their leading scorer. So that doesn't even necessarily take Wemby being leading scorer to win.
I think Wemby's still coming off the bench.
For whatever reason, the Thunder just cannot beat them. And I saw Shea said in an interview, any team that beats you 3 times in a season is clearly better than you. So they definitely have some work to do. Although they did bounce back and win their next game, but obviously that wasn't against the Spurs. So I'm really hyped for any sort of playoff scenario where those two teams play.
I think they'd go to a game seven potentially.
Maybe it's a 4-0 for the Spurs.
Scotty Barnes logs the first 20-20-10 game in Raptors franchise history, scoring 23 points, 25 rebounds, and 10 assists. This came on their overtime win against the Warriors.
Yeah, I saw that Curry, I think, had over 40 points that game. It's good to see Scotty Barnes balling out. He's a special kind of player. If you know, you know. Kawhi Leonard scores a career high of 55 points, tying the franchise record that James Harden set last month.
I saw these were almost exactly a month apart, too.
A lot of people are talking about how Kawhi has fallen off, but now he goes out and sets a franchise scoring record and a career high. Hey, ay, ay. You think if they stay healthy and maybe start playing better, the Clippers could be a pretty sneaky team.
Before I forget, I do want to mention that Russell Westbrook actually passed Magic Johnson in the all-time assists board,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was really only a matter of time, I suppose.
being a triple-double guy. I mean, it just had to happen.
He might be one of the best players to never get a ring.
Very well could be.
I think we should make a tier list of best players that never won a championship, not necessarily just for the NBA, but
I agree. That would be something fun to do. Up next, we all know the Joker. Nikola Jokic goes off on Christmas Day, scoring 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 15 assists. He becomes the first player in NBA history to record 55 plus points, 15 plus rebounds, and 15 plus assists in a game. He's also the first player to record a 50-point triple double in a Christmas game. It is the second time he has ever done a 50-point triple double, and only the 17th time in NBA history.
yeah, I mean, if there was any doubt how good he is this season, and if he's an MVP candidate, I think he showed it on Christmas. And I would like to add that he showed up to that game in a very kind of plain looking outfit with a Taco Bell shirt.
He was the Taco Bell manager.
So, yeah, I think he should start wearing Taco Bell shirts more often if he's going to play like that. It did go to overtime, but that's still impressive nonetheless. I mean, honestly, some records like this you can only really break if you go to overtime anyways, so.
I think he had like 10 plus points in overtime.
And next, we got Mo Bamba signing with the Toronto Raptors after averaging 16.5 points and 12 rebounds in the G League. The Raptors were desperately in need of a big man, so we'll see if he can kind of revitalize his career.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to necessarily do a ton, but I could see this being a pretty big pickup for them. The NBA saw its best Christmas Day viewership numbers in 15 years. The league announced Wednesday that more than 47 million people in the US watched at least some of the five games on ABC and ESPN, which represents about 45% increase from last year. And there was an average of 5.5 million viewers for the games, which is up 4% from a year ago. A lot of people are talking about the NBA dying, but for whatever reason, at least this year during the holidays, we saw this at Thanksgiving too with the NFL. People seem to be wanting to watch sports more. Maybe this is a broader issue with American families and maybe how they don't want to spend time with each other. I mean, it doesn't seem that crazy of an idea. Also, the Cleveland New York matchup was the most watched Christmas game ever that started at noon Eastern with an average of 6.4 million viewers. The San Antonio Oklahoma City game was the most watched at 2:30 p.m. Christmas time slot since 2017. Man, these are ESPN type stats.
That's what the
And the Dallas,
NBA released.
fair enough. And the Dallas Golden State game was the most watched in 5 p.m. slot since 2019. I watched a little bit of that game, and the Warriors were looking pretty good.
The league also said it was the most viewed brand across social media on Christmas, with its content generating 1.6 billion views. That's up 23% over Christmas 2024.
All right, and lastly, before injuries, I was watching a Jimmy High Roller video, and he was talking about how the game has changed over the years. And he was kind of talking about if efficiency, or just three-point shooting has like kind of inflated the stats, or if it was more lack of defense, like people talk about. And I did a little bit of research after that as well, and I think I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's kind of a mix of things. I think to some extent there is a little bit less defense, but I also think people are now defending 3 points more, which is kind of harder to do in some sense. Also with technology and stuff, people know exactly where they need to shoot to be the most efficient. Arguably, there's less offensive fouls being called, and there's no denying that the NBA has kind of been shifting towards an offensive outlook or an offensive focused game. When you have rules such as the 3 point line being introduced, the 3 second violation for defenders. What else? Can you think of any other offensive rule changes?
Not off the top of my
Gather,
head.
gather step.
Yeah.
Gather step's a big one. So, the more I thought about this, I don't actually think this is that bad of a thing because I think the game's probably going to be more fun to watch from a viewer standpoint if there's a lot of offense happening. And I also think to some extent that makes the defense that happens kind of more impactful because a big like last second block is kind of a big deal. Now, one fun stat I wanted to talk about was comparing MVP 98 Jordan's season stats with 2026 Austin Reeves. Now, Austin Reeves is a great player, but most people would not consider him in like the top 5, maybe even top 10 players. In fact, if you look at like Jokic's stats, he's better at points per game, rebounds, and assists. But this just goes to show how much the game has changed. When you have a player like Austin Reeves getting stats very similar to Jordan's MVP season. So Jordan had 28.7 points per game, and Reeves has 28.2. Jordan had 5.8 rebounds, and Reeves had 5.6. Jordan has 3.5, and Reeves has 6.7. And Reeves is shooting 66.5%, while Jordan shot 53.3%. In that season, Jordan won the scoring title and All NBA First Team. What are your thoughts on this, Nick?
Definitely shows the game is elevated in some department. I mean, like you said, Jokic is averaging triple double numbers on higher shooting splits and also on a higher points per game perspective. Um, I know the defense for the Lakers have really sucked this season, and I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with defense. A lot of it has to do with more camps are readily available per se, in my opinion, to help players develop.
Yeah. And the game has changed. People are not really taking mid-range shots anymore because they learned that that's not a very good shot to take statistically. So 3 points also help. Um, but yeah, it's kind of crazy to see players like Austin Reeves play similar to Jordan in the past. And it makes you wonder in the future, is the new like bench player gonna be a 15 to 20 point average guy, you know? I think things like this just take time to get used to. I think as some of the older fans kind of die out, as kind of grim as that is to say, I think these will become a lot normalized. I think people kind of complain too much. They're so used to like what the NBA used to be like that they can't accept what it's currently like. But I think there's still a lot to be had when watching the games and stuff. In fact, last year's finals, except for the injury of Halliburton, was one of the most fun finals I've watched in a while. What do you think? Do you think people overly complain?
Yeah, people overly complain about everything, if we're being honest.
Yeah, that's true. I think people just really struggle to accept that, like, things of the past change, you know?
I think that's kind of human nature, though, that people can't accept change.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose 10 years from now when Curry's retired, I wonder if I won't care about the NBA as much, but time will tell. All right, now we got a couple injury updates. First of all, Anthony Davis sustained a minor groin injury, a groin strain actually, and will likely miss a few weeks.
Austin Reeves will be out at least 4 weeks due to a left calf strain.
Nikola Jokic has been diagnosed with a hyperextension of his left knee. He'll miss at least 4 weeks. However, all of his knee ligaments are intact. When you watch the replay, it's a classic example of something that could have been much worse, like an ACL tear. But but it turns out that he's relatively okay. So that's really good news if you're a Nuggets fan.
Josh Giddey sustained a left hamstring strain and will miss at least a few weeks.
Yeah, that's going to be a big loss for the Bulls. I know the Bulls have kind of settled down a bit, but they started off this season pretty good. All right, and now to our last section, the random and funny section. I don't actually, we need like a name for this section because, you know,
Yeah,
maybe we
because
should
it's
call it the miscellaneous section.
miscellaneous sports.
Yeah, miscellaneous sport. First of all, 58-year-old Kazuyoshi Miura has signed with the Fukushima United for his 41st season of his career. He started his pro career in 1986. I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron does the same. But no, that's crazy for any league.
Yeah, especially soccer with all the running and endurance, and this guy probably trains every day, like extensively.
I looked it up and he looks like he's in pretty decent shape actually. But yeah, he's got like gray hair and everything. That's crazy.
Up next, we have something a little controversial. Baylor signs former NBA draft pick James Nanaji. Coaches and fans are going crazy over why this was allowed, and he was drafted in 2023 with the 31st overall pick by the Pistons.
He didn't play though in the NBA, I don't think. I think he was in the G League.
I saw people were upset because he played overseas for like 4 seasons professionally, and then he came over and got drafted, and then they let him go to college.
Well, the thing is, he has college eligibility. People can go to college at any age.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't see the issue. It's weird, sure, and he might be better than some college players, but if he didn't really make it that much in the NBA, he's probably not that much better than like a first round pick at most, you
I
know?
think what they're getting at is that he's taking away opportunities from other people, from other kids and stuff.
Sure, but maybe he legitimately just wants an education and then he wants to play basketball at the same time. I don't know. I mean, how old is he? He's probably not that old, right?
He probably have to be in his mid to late 20s.
He is 21 years old.
What? He played 4 years professionally. He's only 21 years
Yeah,
old.
so people are complaining for nothing, bro. He's college age. So it sounds like he kind of just maybe jumped the gun on playing overseas early. And he kind of wanted to go back and do something he missed out on, you know?
He probably was already overseas and then played professionally
Yeah, I don't
overseas.
think he's American anyways. Or not, born American. So, I don't know.
Moving on, we got some NHL news. The NHL will host an outdoor game in Florida on Friday, which will be today when this comes out, between the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers in the Winter Classic at the Marlins Ballpark. This is, I believe, the first time they have an outdoor game in Florida.
And wait, it's in Florida?
Yeah, it's an outdoor game in Florida in the Marlins Ballpark.
I mean, I'm not denying that technology can keep the ice cold, but that is crazy.
The NHL will host another outdoor game in Florida on February 1st between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins in the Stadium Series at the Buccaneers Stadium.
Now, I've never been to a hockey game, so you have to tell me how cold they usually are indoor. But I feel like this might be a good way to view hockey, since you could, in theory, stay warm while watching.
It does get a little chilly in there, but it's not horrible.
Hmm, okay. Well, yeah, that's pretty cool though. Hopefully there's no issues. You know what it probably will be is some sort of like artificial ice.
Yeah, I think that's what they used in Columbus when they played outside.
All right, well, that will do it. I hope you guys have a happy new year. Um, I'm about to head over to Nick's house and we're gonna watch the Ohio State game. We will update you on that next week. And yeah, I guess we will see you guys in a year.
Maybe next week we could share our New Year's resolutions.
I haven't come up with one, but sure.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next year. Have a safe New Year, and as always, stay out of trouble.
By the time this comes up, New Year's already over, so telling them to stay out of trouble, it's a
You should
little,
always stay out of trouble. Don't be like Stefan Diggs or Christian
yeah,
Barmore.
I thought you were gonna say me. Like,
Don't be
what did
like the
I do?
Patriots players or the Georgia players.
But yeah, we will see you guys later. Thank you guys for listening, and bye.
Adios, amigos.